also Satan wants to take advantage of that window. The nation right now is on spiritual bargain. The soul of the land is in the spiritual market for bargain. And if we fail to understand the tactfulness, including prophetic voices, shall sell this land into the hands of the enemy. Yes. Today, allow me to speak like an apostle. So I may be very rough in a nice way. The stage management of the spirit are such that if you're not acute in the spirit and sensitive and knowledgeable in the realities of the divine blueprint, we live by observation, and the calculations of the observation, we can sell our heritage unknowingly. Daniel, I will desire to read many scriptures that are important, write them down, you go and search and read through. In Daniel chapter 9, how many of you love Daniel? The aspect of Daniel actually can bless us here today. Let me tell you this. You know Daniel as a prophet, but we all understand, or maybe you don't understand. You know Daniel as a prophet, but there's no place where Daniel was pre-initialized as a prophet. Our instituting of Daniel as a prophet is aftermath of observation of his dealings with God. It's not pre-initialized called Daniel now what a prophet. That says go and speak. No. The guy was just walking with God as an intercessor. As an intercessor. And the things Daniel managed to crack into, including the prophets that had authority with God, did not touch those dimensions. Daniel walked into dimensions that he programmed the future into degrees such that you can begin to find the footsteps until you can see when Christ appears. Daniel. Young men in Babylon. Young men in Babylon. They're dialing the future and divine program such that he opens some scrolls and is able to institute matter to the degree these things cannot be looked into. Daniel is troubled until the Lord comforts him and says, don't worry, these things are for days to come. You shall rest. You shall not see these days. But listen to Daniel when he's praying in Daniel chapter 9. He says he studied the books of Jeremiah and he understood by the books that the times of captivity, and he begins to face God to pray for the release or the falling of the prophetic footprints. See how Daniel prays. He stands before God and he embodies the entire Israel. I want you to understand this. If you're in that camp, you understand the children of Israel cannot receive the doctrine of Daniel. Because first of Babylon, you answer to that king, and even as much as you're in captivity, you guys have been given power. So the conversation among Jews, these are traitors. And are compromisers. They are bitter against Daniel, so they cannot receive the word of Daniel. And that also happens to the church. Some of the people that are deliverers for the church calls them traitors. And that is the center which is dialing the divine plan. Daniel carries the entire Israel upon his shoulder. And he repents on behalf of Israel. He's not accusing no one. He's taking it upon himself. And he enters the Messiahship portal where Christ says, for their sakes I sanctify myself. So Daniel takes his righteousness and his fear of God and on both the entire Israel and take the burden of Israel and begins to repent to God, having carried the entire Israel. And he calls upon the name of the Lord, covering even the forefathers and all of them in Israel, and repents in the presence of the Lord concerning them. And on the basis of Daniel, the entire Israel is sanctified. And when when God appears, or when Gabriel appears to Daniel to speak, is not appearing to a man. He is appearing to the composite soul of Israel. And what he speaks, this man embodies the entire Israel. And says, if the first fruit is holy, the entire lamp is holy. Realize this. When the angel appears to speak to Daniel, he does not speak. Daniel went to pray concerning the deliverance of their captivity. This angel does not speak to Daniel concerning the deliverance of their captivity. He speaks about the messiahship and the ages to come and the purpose of Israel to carry the mandate of God. God is not answering in short term. God is answering ages to come. I wish I would have time to go now to just settle what's going into Daniel. Go wide and search. We're talking about revival. There's a place, if we make contact with God, our tongue shall change. Stop telling us about how people are evil. Is there anyone that is evil than Nebuchadnezzar you've seen these days? No. Have you seen any man that you know now that is as powerful as Nebuchadnezzar that is evil than Nebuchadnezzar? You don't see anyone, isn't it? Then how come this young man made Nebuchadnezzar to preach globally and write to the entire world and say there's no God other than the God of Daniel, the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? How comes? They dialed, including Nebuchadnezzar, with his royal signet. He wrote to the entire world and instituted that the God of this young man is the true God.